Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage for another Garage Gun Talk. And I guess tonight's video or episode is going to be on a relatively serious topic, which deals with the aftermath of the murder of Charlie Kirk. And I think it's been a week since it happened. I remember where I was when I heard the news. And I know that different people, based off of their age or maybe interactions on social media, this has probably impacted people in very different ways. I never personally met Charlie Kirk. I had followed him. I had watched his videos. My wife and I had talked about how brilliant he was. And as a teacher, I have seen firsthand how his videos and his impact on the youth has been so positive, especially for the conservative or libertarian movement and everything that would entail. And so his loss has just been profound, but it's also been very devastating for me to see how many people in our society, I guess there's no other way of putting it, that are just possessed by demonic powers, because they dance on Charlie Kirk's grave. They celebrate his death. They celebrate his murder. They almost romanticize the assassin. And I just cannot wrap my head around it, because I would never wish such a thing on my political opponents. And I just don't know what possibly can possess somebody, besides a demon, to just be so evil. But that's not what this video is about. And I'll just say in a very, short way that has been the biggest takeaway from this. That it has made me very aware of how evil the world is. How evil the world is. And just before this event, we had that murder in Charlotte, North Carolina, of that woman on the bus. And recently here in Dallas, there's been another I guess just senseless murder. I don't have a lot of information on it. I heard there was like a beheading or something. I don't know. I just can't wrap my head around how human beings can do these things to other people and don't understand the sacred aspect of life and just how special it is, and how people can let their emotions, their anger, their irrational behavior promote this or celebrate this. It does not bode well for the human species. But I guess I can't be surprised, because we've been doing this for a long time, okay? So I guess it's pretty much all throughout human history. And sometimes we like to think we've either evolved past it or things have changed. And I guess we haven't. At our core, we are still savages. And I don't think we're going to be able to rise above it. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about more of a legal fallout or a security fallout from what happened. And I think it is worth talking about, because there's been a lot of people, not a lot, but they've done the whole usual call for gun control. And as I mentioned in one of my last videos, nothing's going to happen, because not a single law that they want that's really on their wish list would have done anything. Because how can you advocate for an assault weapons ban when the guy used a bolt-action hunting rifle? Because that's exactly the rifle they tell us we should have. You don't need an AR-15. You need a hunting rifle. That's all you need to take a deer. Well, he just literally had his granddad's hunting rifle. That's it. One shot. So none of that would have happened. Background check, no, he got it from his grandfather. I think it was a gift. But even if it was a gift and they had a universal background check law, he would have passed. He didn't need a magazine ban. That wouldn't have stopped it, because the gun didn't use a magazine. But you guys know what I'm talking about. So legally, I don't think there's going to be any fallout when it comes to laws, unless the anti-gunners in the very blue states want to try to pass something. But they're just going to use it, not because they cared about Charlie Kirk, but just because they want to use the moment to pass something, but it's not going to do anything. I mean, maybe California and New York are going to go after hunting rifles or something, and they're going to relabel them as military sniper rifles, whatever. Maybe they'll ban putting on scopes on hunting rifles or whatever, but I don't really see that happening. So I think from a legal standpoint, nothing's going to happen. So let's talk about a security standpoint, because as I have seen, and I think it's great, we've seen all these people that are ready to pick up the microphone and take over for Charlie Kirk. You got someone like Ben Shapiro, which he's okay. He doesn't have the same gravitas that Charlie Kirk had. I don't think he speaks to the same audience. He's a little bit older. He's a little bit too intellectual. He might be as witty and be able to, just go through the facts as quickly as Charlie Kirk could, but also he's not going to commune with the Christians, essentially, because Ben Shapiro is Jewish, and that's not a bad thing. It's just Charlie Kirk had a different audience. And then you have Milo Yiannopoulos, I think is how you pronounce his last name, which I absolutely like. He's like Charlie Kirk as a bad boy. I mean, he curses. He is just wild, and he does not care about triggering liberals. Like, he does not care about them, being offended, where Charlie Kirk was like the most moderate, nice guy in the world. Never raised his voice, never called anybody a name. But these people are going to start going to college campuses because I think they've had enough, and they're going to be like, we have to pick up the baton from Charlie and keep this going. And they're not going to stop because this is their life's mission. So I definitely think there is going to have to be security changes. And, obviously he had a security team. And I, by the way, am not anybody that has ever been in security. I'm just an average gun guy that likes to analyze situations and look at it from the perspective of, if I was somebody that was trying to hurt somebody, what would I do and how would I prevent a security or create a security scenario that would prevent what I would try to do? Does that make any sense? It's kind of like trying to get in the head of a bad person, kind of like a criminal profiler, and being like, well, if, I would do this, what security protocols could I put in place to prevent this from happening? And so I've been thinking about this, and I think that it appears that from a historical standpoint, based off of the 2 Trump attempted assassinations, and now with Charlie Kirk's assassination, because security has generally been pretty good, it's hard to get close to these individuals and these VIPs, which is a great thing. So the left and these crazy assassins have tried to start doing it from a distance. Essentially, you're seeing snipers, longer distance engagements. And we've seen the failure of the Secret Service when it came to the main assassination attempt on Trump, how they even saw the person on the rooftop. They didn't do anything for a while. I don't want to go into what happened, but there wasn't really, as much as it surprised me, like someone in charge or a protocol to take that out. And they waited so long. It didn't make sense. And it took them a while even to see the person on the roof. And then, of course, we had that sniper or attempted sniper at Trump's golf course. And the Secret Service agents saw the rifle barrel, thank God, and they got that guy. And then we had this. And people saw them. It looks like, there's a couple of videos that have come out. People that were not on the security team noticed somebody was on the roof. But the security team didn't. And I'm pretty sure their security team was mainly focused around Charlie and trying to prevent people from coming up on stage. I don't think these people were amateurs. I definitely think they were hired professionals that knew what they were doing, but they were definitely overwhelmed at the situation. Simply because I think they were only looking at an attack from one angle. And things are going to have to change. And so this is what I think they're going to have to do is, number one, they're going to have to move all of these events indoors where things are more contained and you have eyes on the complete room. I think that's just going to have to be safer. And what they're going to need to do to keep control. If they do outdoor events, they're going to have to put up some type of clear ballistic shield. That's just what they're going to have to do. They're going to need security in the audience, maybe dressed in plain clothes that you would have no idea are security, that are interacting with the crowd, trying to find things, trying to pick up on things. And you have got to. I mean, the Secret Service dropped the ball on two snipers, and Charlie Kirk's security dropped the ball on looking at rooftops. They have to start thinking, where are the windows? Where are the open windows? Are there any spots that a sniper could take up a post on? Check those roofs. Either put a drone, have somebody on the security team at an elevated point with binoculars the entire time, and have radio communications with people in the crowd and, of course, the people on stage. And I know it's going to cost more money, but they're just going to have to do it. I actually think this is a huge opportunity for somebody that is in the conservative world to create a elite security team that caters towards conservative speakers and VIPs to handle this stuff. I mean, I think this is a huge opportunity. Maybe, work with people that used to be part of, what was that company called? Blackwater. I think it was Eric Prince was the guy that started that. Have consultations with people like this. How would you handle VIP security? And of course, you have to think about cost, because, you can't have essentially like the entire Secret Service or the number of the Secret Service around a Ben Shapiro. That's just not cost effective. But how can you maximize personnel and make sure that all your dots are, all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed when it comes to making sure the roofs are covered, windows are covered, making sure you have ballistics glass or paneling around, making sure that you have people to protect people from rushing the stage, people in the audience you don't know who they are, that are security that could take down any threat or stop any threat. They're just going to have to start doing this, because that seems to be the modus operandi of the left and these wannabe assassins, where they're trying to do it now from a long distance standpoint instead of getting up close and personal. The game has just changed, and that's what they're going to have to do. And as I said, if you're somebody in the security world, I'm curious what you would think about all of this and my ideas. And do you think this is an opportunity for somebody that does run or own or could start a security consultation firm to protect these people? Because that's definitely what needs to be done. Because it appears that Charlie Kirk's security was an internal thing. Like it was his security, it was his friends. But I don't think that's necessarily the best way to go. You need to hire a professional team that knows how to handle this. And handle events in different scenarios, and trains to handle these scenarios. The other thing that I think they were missing out, and I think this is they're going to need to take a lesson from the Secret Service, because I know that they do this. They need to make sure that they have medical personnel on hand, ready to go at every event. Now, you might not be able to have an ambulance, but you should have some type of vehicle that can have lights and sirens to get somebody to the hospital, I think. Maybe an ambulance, maybe something smaller, I don't know. But you need medical personnel that can render first aid, and, even though in this situation, it would not have saved Charlie. I watched the video, and I've seen what people have said that were there, the doctors that were there, people that have analyzed the footage. Charlie was killed immediately. So the amount of blood loss, it was gone. He was gone. There was no chance. Even if paramedics would have been there in 10 seconds, he was gone. He was gone. And the doctor and the surgeons were saying that it was too traumatic of a wound. That was it. He was gone. But I still think they needed medical personnel there, because I've seen the video of them carrying Charlie off, putting him in the back of an SUV and trying to rush him to a hospital that was 4 miles away. They also need to have blood on hand, just like the Secret Service does, in case their VIP that they're protecting needs to have blood. Would that have saved Charlie? In this case, no. But it's just like having a fire extinguisher in your house. You hope you don't need it, but you need it. You need to know the blood type, or maybe have a universal donor. Or a bag full of universal donation. Like, what would that be? I think it's O negative or whatever. You just have to have that. That's just what they're going to have to do now, because the left and these crazies are not going to stop. So if you're somebody in the world of security, tell me what you think. And do you think this is an opportunity to better protect conservative speakers, VIPs, famous people going to these college campuses, going to these conventions? And what do you think we should do to save or to protect them and potentially save their lives? Because I definitely think things are going to change. I don't think you're going to see these people stop going to the colleges. In fact, I think they're more motivated now. But now we have to have better security, and the whole apparatus has to be changed. I think that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to change is security. It has to change, and we have to be on the lookout for snipers, because that's what they've done now. That's the new MO, because the security has been so good. You can't get close to them. You have to do it from a long distance. And I think it's imperative that if you see something, say something. So if you ever attend an event in support of somebody that you like, I think it's contingent upon all of us to be the eyes and ears for the security as well. Like, look around. If you see something that looks suspicious, report it immediately. If you see somebody carrying in a long object in a bag, say something. If you see somebody on the roof, say something. I think we have to do that to protect these people. So anyway, that's what I want to say. Legally, I don't think there's really going to be any, laws passed. Maybe California, maybe New York will try to pass the Charlie Kirk gun law to show how, anti-gun they are. But it's not really going to have that much of an impact, because nothing they want to pass would have changed anything. But I definitely think we need to change security, and we, most importantly, need to start having medical personnel at these events. And I know it's going to cost these people a lot of money, but I think that's what they're going to need to do, because I just do not see this de-escalating. So anyway, that's all I want to talk about tonight. So if you watch to the end of this video and want to do the word of the day, so I know you watch to the end and participate in that, the word of the day is going to be security. Security is the word of the day, because I think that's the biggest thing that's going to change in the fallout of the Charlie Kirk assassination. So tell me what you think in the comment section below. Tell us your ideas. Tell me if you're somebody in security that works security, and what you think and what would be the best way to protect these people. So, as always, thanks for watching.